Hello there. Oops. There we go. I am so happy to see everybody today. My name is Jen Raza, and I am one of the co-founders of Altenew, and I also design a lot of the products. I work on some product development, and I am here on Tuesdays for a fun challenge. So we have our creative challenges with Jen, which you can join in, and I hope you do. And you have opportunities to win prizes each week. And you can also win by sharing us while we're live. And I saw a comment just pop up. So make sure that you are sharing us during the live stream, because that will enter you into another gift certificate. We still call it gift certificates. That's like really old school. I call it a certificate. Like, remember when you would go into a store and like it was before even gift cards existed, and like there would be like a little voucher and the manager or something would have to sign their name, and you had to bring in this like handwritten voucher to the store. Yeah, that's what I think of when I say gift certificate. But I still say it. You don't get a real certificate, but you get like a virtual certificate. But anyway, if you share us while we're live, you are in the running to win that one as well. So there are 2 chances to win on every single one of my lives. Hello to those of you who have already said hi in the comments. I see Sue and Kim and Alana are all here. So is Nancy. And if you are joining us for the first time, welcome to Altenew. We're so happy to have you. We're going to be doing some fun stuff today, a challenge, another challenge for me. I think they're all challenging for me. That's why I picked them. I want to be challenged every week. I want to make sure that I'm doing something that is outside of my comfort zone, hopefully to encourage everybody here and everyone who's watching to do the same. So even if you don't have a chance to play along this week, maybe this challenge you'll think of in a couple weeks and you're like, oh, I should try that out. So let's get to some business first. I want to share with you what I created last week for the challenge, and then we can announce the winner. And Kim is also here. Yep, and Angel is behind the Altenew badge. So make sure you give Angel a nice hello, because she'll be popping in different links as I mention products. She'll also be answering any questions that maybe I don't have a chance to answer. And hello, Cindy. I see you just said hi as well. Okay, so last time we had the copycat challenge, and I recreated this card, which I don't remember exactly when I did it, but it was back in the pre-Altenew days. So I made this prior to 2014, but oh, sorry, showing you the wrong card. There we go. There is the original. As I'm holding it, I'm like, that's not the right card. All right, here is the original from my pre-Altenew days. And then here's the Altenew version. Oh, everything's backwards. Okay, so there's the Altenew version. Here is the original. So I did a pretty faithful recreation. However, I decided to use Altenew products, since when I made the first card, I didn't have Altenew. Altenew didn't exist yet. So I thought of which products I can use. And yes, I used some enamel dots. I think when I signed off of the live stream, I hadn't yet assembled all of the elements, and I did have to realign my enamel dots. It's still a little bit wiggly. I had some trouble getting them all in a straight line, but no one will notice. No one can tell. And then I added on the little label from Label Love, which is there to mimic the Dymo label. Thank you to whoever helped me remember what those were called last time, because I was like, you guys know the one with the psh, 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 and the yeah, right? And then it's like, oh, Dymo, that's the one. So we have that recreation. Now, I loved watching or getting to see what you guys have created for this challenge. So let me take a second to share my screen, and I will show you who our winner is. Will it let me share a tab, or is it going to make me share my whole screen? Let me share it. Oh, it's not letting me do. Oh, there it is. No. Okay. Will I be able to do it? I think I can do it. Okay. So we have here from Amy Moore. This was the original. And then Amy went and created this card. So I like that both of them have the same products, but we have a totally different color scheme. And I think we have very similar sentiments, right? Friends forever and you are loved. You could definitely give both of those to a friend. So this was the new version. It was really, really fun getting to see everything that you have all created. So let's give a nice shout out and a congratulations to Amy. And I do want to say that we have a runner-up, a non-prize winner, but I do want to just give a shout out to Sue W, because I think Sue was the one who recreated the oldest card, which was a project she did in 1999. And is that like vintage at this point? How old does something have to be vintage? Because that's like pretty old. Maybe 30 years, right? Maybe it's not 25, but it's got to be close. So we're at a near vintage card recreation. So that was a really fun challenge. And I hope all of you had a really good time revisiting something that you did. Maybe you like the new one more. Maybe you like the original more. I don't know. It was a fun experiment for all. So I'm excited to share that winner. So please, please, please go ahead, Amy, and contact us to let us know that you are the winner, and we will get that $15 gift certificate out to you. The certificate lists certificate. Okay. Oh, Sue said, even with no prize, you have a big smile on my face. I'm sorry, Sue. I know I think I said it harshly. Like, and to Sue, who wins nothing but acknowledgement. I didn't mean it for it to come out that way. I'm sure you knew what I meant. Okay. So yes, congrats to Sue too for pulling out an old project from the archives and revisiting it in an amazing new way. Okay, we've got a new challenge for you. So let me quickly show you, because I think I was going to pop you down, but I think you need to really see this to believe it. And this is why I'm scared for today's challenge. We are doing a teeny tiny challenge, an itty bitty challenge. It is tiny but mighty. And the challenge here is to use 3 inches or smaller as the size of your project. This is a Post-it size, you guys. We are working on a very tiny scale. And it's funny how small this truly is, because when I made up this challenge, I was like, all right, I definitely want to do tiny but mighty. What's a great size that would be like not impossible, but still a challenge? And I just kind of thought in my head, 3 by 3 sounds good. And then I was preparing the cardstock right before I went live. I was like, can I pull this off? This is smaller than I thought, right? You imagine 3 by 3, and it's like, well, we usually do 4 1/4. That's a normal size, right? If I did a 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 square, that's like fine. 3 is not much smaller than that, but 3 is quite small. So this is the size we're working with. I also cut a few because I'm thinking I might be able to make more than one project. I'm hoping I can pull off more than one project when they're this small. So I've got some little 3 by 3s. You have no other limitations. So you can make as many layers as you want. You can make as many projects as you want. It could be a canvas. It doesn't have to be on a piece of paper, but the size that you're doing has to be 3 by 3 or smaller. This would be great for those of you who make tags. Maybe you could make a teeny tiny tag. Wouldn't it be cute to make a gift set of cards for somebody? So like you make a set of like 4 thank you cards and you wrap them up with a bow and you give them out, and someone can do that. Or like slip them into lunch boxes. People started school. I started school. This is my 2nd week of school for teaching. But if you have a child or a grandchild and you want to put a little something in their lunchbox or in their backpack, this is a great size to use. Sue was mentioning ATC. Those are artist trading cards, are 2.5 by 3.5. Would that work? 3.5. Someone's always trying to make me bend the rules, huh? Yeah. No, I'm going to say no. I was going to say yes, but we are challenging ourselves. We're keeping it to 3 by 3. I was almost going to be like, okay, well, 3 times 3 is 9. So the area is 9. And if you do 2.5 times 3.5, as long as it's less than 9, but I think we're getting too complicated. 3 by 3, no ATC size. So you could do the ATC, but then slice off that extra 1/2 inch. Okay. Ooh, Sue's grandson just started kindergarten. Brick by Burke is a little bit late to the party. Hey, I'm glad it's a party. Okay. Oh, and you're welcome. She says, thanks for being a teacher, Jen. It's a passion. I love teaching no matter what, whether it's the young children I teach at elementary level for music, or when I teach workshops, or teaching fellow adults, or even sometimes younger people who are into crafting. So I love that too. So it's really a joy to be a teacher and educator in so many different ways. All right, let's pop you down. I'll show you what I grabbed for today. I don't have a plan other than the products that I selected. So here we go. I grabbed Dynamic Duo Fruitful Fun. I did pull this out a few weeks ago for another challenge. I've done this once before where sometimes I grab multiple products and then I end up not using something, but then it's still on my mind. And even though I designed this set, I have never used it. These are fresh stamps, never been inked, fresh stencils, fresh. So I really want to use this. So I have this set. This was a Dynamic Duo set, which comes with the stencils. It's still available in the store, even though it was released a while back. And we have an add-on die set. And then the set also comes with the stamp. So the Duo is the stamp and the stencil. And then the add-on is the die if you want to cut out those elements. So this is all I have as far as what I want to do. I don't know how it's going to work, but I have some fun products and I'll grab my inks and we can get going with this teeny tiny itty bitty size. Love it. Look at that, right? We line it up on our mat. You can see I'm not cheating here. It is in fact 3 by 3. So I'm going to start. I'll think of my first one I'm going to do. These are all going to be cards just because I am a card person. I will not mount them onto a card base until I'm ready to figure out who I want to give them to or what I want to do with them. So right now they're just flat little panels, but I will make cute little 3 by 3 folding note cards for these. But I want to do the first one, maybe completely flat one layer or one layer with one thing popped up. We'll see. But this is a background stencil. So I think it'd be nice if the first thing we do is just utilize it as a background. The reason why we have dies too is because you can just ink up one thing and do the stamps. The stamps add the details. And then you can die cut that out, or you can just leave it as is. So we have options. So that's why I think it might be good to use this to make more than one project. Hi, Gladys, and anybody else who came in. Also, I see a comment. I honor teachers all the time. I am old, and when I was a child, I could not read. I am dyslexic, and it's not a diagnosis. It wasn't a diagnosis when I was a kid. Oh, a teacher was able to teach you to read. I'm sure you still remember that teacher fondly. I feel like all of us have that teacher that stands out, you know, that made a big impact on us. And I hope that there are some students where I am that teacher. I know I've had a lot of students who have graduated high school, even graduated college, who have come back and, you know, said really kind things about what they remember about being in my classroom and how I made them feel. So it really is a great job that is very, very rewarding, even when it feels like it's not. If there are any fellow teachers out there, I'm sure we've all experienced that, these times when it doesn't feel like it is necessarily as rewarding as you want it to be. But I'm just pulling the sticky mat, by the way, out of my stamp wheel. I could use my larger one. I do have the 9 by 12, but we're making a mini. We don't need more than this. So I'll start with this. And if I want to do some stamping, I'll just pop it back in. So cute. Okay. Those of you who are just coming in, maybe you arrived late, we are doing Tiny But Mighty, and we have a very strict size requirement. It has to be 3 by 3 or smaller. Whatever it is that you're creating, make it fit in that size. Now I get to decide which section of this I want, because we have all the different fruits, and I want to make sure we have as many represented as I can. I definitely want a strawberry. This was a pear, the banana. Ooh, lemon. That would be cute. Okay, I'm going with this. Okay, so this is stencil number 1. And I'm just going to pull out a few different inks and a few different of my trusty favorite size mini blending brush because I can't get enough of that. And I'm going to do some inking of each color. You could just ink them all in one tone if you want to do, like, let's say gray. I think that'd be really cool if all the fruit was gray and then you were able to stamp those black details from the stamp set and then maybe do one in color. I think I actually did something like that as the sample. I don't know if that was used in the packaging. It was. Look at that. So that's what I'm imagining. Yeah, so you could do the background in gray and then add elements on top. Or what I'm going to do is just use a smaller blending brush and then selectively ink each section, just making sure I don't mix up what each of these fruits are. Let's start with that banana. Banana. Okay, I am going to grab, I think these colors should be good. Let's start with Warm Sunshine and I think Caramel Toffee. Hi, Ciamara. Welcome. Hi, Carol. Alana, you finally got your stamp wheel to work. I'm happy to hear that. I'm not sure what the issue was that you were having, but excellent that you were able to make it work for you. Now we're getting real close over here. I might just grab some of my trusty satin masking tape just to cover up. Even though I'm using a small blending brush, I don't want to accidentally blend ink where it doesn't belong. So we'll just mask a little bit of this off. I could definitely go in with the smaller brushes. We have smaller blending brushes, but this is nice and quick, just as easy, in my opinion. If you don't agree, that's fine. You can go and use a smaller brush. Okay. So let's start here with the Warm Sunshine up at the top and blend down. I feel like I do a lot of ink blending nowadays. I'm thinking of recent projects, just not even all that I've done on lives, but just thinking about projects that I've done in my craft room just for fun. And I think I've been doing a lot more ink blending. Over the summer, I was all like dies. I just wanted to do like layer die cutting all the time. And now I'm finding that with the busyness of back to school and a lot going on, I just now want to relax. Calming ink blending. So this Caramel Toffee really just gives a nice shadow to my banana. Banana. I didn't want this to be bright yellow because I've got the lemon nearby and I want that to be brighter. So this might be a more ripe banana. It's getting a little brown. Okay, so that is the first fruit. And now we can move on to the next one. So I'm just going to save these little pieces of tape because I'm going to use them to mask off different areas now. So we can mask off a little bit of this. I'll do the banana so that I can blend on my lemon. I could also make this a lime. So just depending on what colors you choose. And I'm going to take some brighter yellows. Look at yellowy green. The oolong tea, I think, would be nice. And let's see, maybe a little teeny tiny dab of citronella. Not much. But I want, again, there to be a very noticeable difference between these colors. This might not be exactly the color of a lemon, but I'm okay with that. It's a greenish lemon. It's like a lemony lime. Okay, oops. So getting that blended up. And then just a tiny dab of that citronella will come down at the bottom. Okay, Amy's saying she loves mixing colors. Me too. I really love when I mix from different color families. Right now I am staying true to each color family, but I think I get the coolest looks when you mix a color family. So if I were to do, let's say, a flower, and the inside of the petals, I use pink. And then as I blend to the outside, maybe I do yellow. And then there's this nice gradient and a nice blend of like an orangey tone sunset. I love doing that. So not for my fruit today, but it is something that is very fun to do. Okay, let's put these away. So we have 2 fruits done. I should probably keep these inks out because I think, like I said, I'm going to do more cards, more of these mini cards. I definitely think I can get at least 2 done. So we'll leave those inks out for me to do. And you can see, since the sticky mat is holding the stencil, I don't need to worry about taking off the tape and having things shift around. It's being held already. I'm just using the tape as additional masking. So mask off here so I can do my strawberry. So cute. I want a pink strawberry. Pinkish with a little bit of red. So we'll do Coral Bliss with a little bit of Heartbeat. And oh, look at that. Let's have a huge thank you to Angel behind the scenes, Wizwoman. Totally. I don't know what we would do without her. It's the behind the scenes people that I feel like sometimes go unappreciated or unnoticed. So I'm glad you guys acknowledge everything that she does for us and everyone who moderates. It's a tough job to moderate. I love using the sticky mat also to like just hold on to my stamp pads as I use one hand to open them up. It's very convenient. All right, just a little bit of the red. I still want this to maintain pretty pink. So just bringing that color in. Oh, and I'm not paying attention to where shadows would be. I'm just randomly selecting where to put the darker ink. If you want to be more realistic with it, you can. Sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not. Okay, so then this is a pear. Oh, this is a strawberry. I should do that while I'm here. Little, oops, sorry. Just knock that off. Let's do the other ones. Okay, so strawberry here. I have no idea what that is. Designed this a very long time ago. Look, there's part of a banana I missed and part of a lemon I missed. Let's go back and fix that. You can also choose not to ink them all if you want to have maybe just on the left and on the bottom, like a triangle shape. And I could just not ink these if I didn't want to. But I do want to make the full background here. So let's grab these other ink blenders that I was using. I used this for the banana. Okay, that's good enough. And then we'll do the lemon. And then we have the orange, lemon here. So lemon, lemon. So that was the oolong tea. That, I don't know. Is that a lemon? That looks like an orange. I don't know what that is. Since it's not the full fruit, it's just a little piece, it really doesn't matter. So I could just figure out which color I want there. Okay, let's make sure my little mask is not covering. Lemon right here. You guys, it's so funny how I'm always thinking, oh, I'll get like 20 cards done during this live. Obviously not. But then I look at the time. I'm like, well, it's already 4:25 and I'm not even close to finishing the first one. Don't judge me if I don't finish more like I promised. Yeah, any idea what this one is? You'd think since I designed this, I would have some idea, but it was a very long time ago. I think this might be a pear. We can make that a pear. Okay, so then orange, orange, orange. Pear, pear. Oh, what is this? Orange. Okay, lots of oranges. All right, So we'll cover some of the stuff up. Let's do the pear. We'll get some nice pear green tones. And if you are just coming in, this is the Tiny But Mighty Challenge, 3x3. If you play along, make sure that you use our hashtag. It is hashtag Altenew Challenge Live. These are nice for the pear, matcha and swamp green. Matcha tea and swamp green. I think I need to request some more mini ink blenders next time I get my Altenew order. Actually a little cooler than a pear would be, but maybe it's a different type of pear. I'm imagining a very warm toned pear. I could also take one of the yellows and go over this to warm it up a little bit. But I think the swamp green is slightly warmer. That might help a little bit when I add the darker green. Okay. That looks great. Very peary. You know, pears have like those little spots and stuff on them. So I'm not going to do an exact blend like I did in the other ones because this will get the peary treatment. There's the pear. What did we say? This was going to be a pear. Okay. And then this will be a pear. And then oranges. The rest are oranges. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Happy with this. You'll see how great this looks when we pull it up. We also have another layer that we have that just add the little like leaves and things. So keep that out. And we'll do orange cream and autumn blaze. Will look great for the oranges. Yes, my crafty friends, I do have a mini brush for all the fresh dye inks and for the new colors. I am so funny with that because, again, I can have whatever I want. It is definitely a perk of the job. I can say, Altenew, please send me a mini blending brush for every single ink color we have, and they will absolutely send that my way. But I don't think I'm organized enough. I don't know if I have the space for all of them. I don't know if I have the organization to do all the labels. And I know that for some of you, you probably think I'm crazy, and maybe I am crazy, but I do share. So I don't know which oranges used this blender last, but I just go ahead and use it and then brush it off on a scrap paper. Clean it if I really want to, but I just go right in. Some people would be appalled at this method of just like randomly grabbing things and not worrying about the cross-contamination too much. But that's why it's great. We're all different. And those of you who really want to have blending brushes for every color, you can, if you have the space for it, especially. I live in an apartment, and although I have a really great crafting space, I don't have infinite space for everything that I may want. So I'm frequently putting things in storage, like older products that we released a very long time ago. Unless it's a favorite of mine that I know I'm going to reach for again and again, it gets put into storage. Maybe one day we'll move into a house and I can have a beautiful, humongous craft room. Like I'll make the master bedroom the craft room. That's what I did in our older apartment, actually. Right now we're in an apartment complex, like in an apartment building. But before this, my husband and I were living in a house that we rented. So it wasn't ours, but I was able to use the master bedroom as the crafting space. And it was really amazing. Okay, so I use the bottom right of my stencil, and I'm just making note of that. I'm also just going to wipe this off clean so that it's ready if we have time to do another mini card. But I'm making note of that because I'm going to add the next layer of the stencil, and I want to know which part of the stencil to use. So I'm not spending too long searching for what lines up. Sorry, I keep knocking into that. So I can see the etchings. Can you see that? There you go. And there's the banana. There's my strawberry. And I just twist it around until it all fits in as it should, like a little piece of the puzzle. And once I'm happy, I will stick it down to my mat. Okay, just rotating it a little bit more. Okay, so we've got leaves, and then the banana is the only one I've got to do brown because it's that little edge of the banana. I don't know what that's called, the like the butt. Can I call it the butt of the banana? That's the part that is right there. So for the butt of the banana, I will use paper bag. And for all of the others, I will just use some of the greens to make those leafy bits. Okay, done with the book. And now we are moving along to green. And I'll just do that swamp green. I like it a lot. Now you'll notice what we're missing is like the stem of the pear. And that's because we add that with the stamp. So the orange, the pear, they get little stems. The banana gets some detail lines. This all happens with the stamp. So you see it's coming to life, but it's not quite complete yet until we stamp on those details. Now for the details, I'm going to use my trusty favorite Obsidian pigment ink, and I will pop this back into my stamp wheel. I just want to wipe off some of the ink that got on the edges first. I know if I don't, I'm definitely going to stick my fingers in there, and then I'll have inky fingers and smudges all over. I'm also going to wipe off my stencil. Asking for the hashtag. So the hashtag is #Altenew Challenge Live. It should be in the description. So it doesn't matter if you're looking on Facebook or on YouTube, but the hashtag is listed there. Now we have the stamp set. Yay! All right, let's put our sticky mat back into the stamp wheel. And I'll put my little card panel, my tiny but mighty card panel, back in the center. Just like that. Grabbing Obsidian, and I have my flip plate. And I wonder how many of these I can stamp at once. What's really great is it's all labeled for you. So like this, you might say, what are all those dots for? That just adds the texture of the lemon. So lemon, orange, banana, strawberry, pear, just so that you can keep track of what everything is. Now, this is not meant to be perfect. It's just kind of like a sketchy little detail. So don't worry too much about proper, exact, perfect alignment. But if you look and see, we've got little dots that go on the pear, the stem, and then the little vein that goes to the leaf. So I'll pop that there. Here is my lemon. So I just get to add those little dots. The banana. The banana adds, I don't know if it's a vein, just that like segment, a seam, the banana seam, and some dots, detail dots. The orange. How do you guys say that word or that color, that fruit? Do you say orange or orange? I grew up in New York. I don't think I could put these on at once. I'll have to stamp that separately. I grew up in New York, and I always say orange, like almost as if it was spelled A-R, orange. And I never realized that that was weird until I came and moved to Massachusetts. And then I get teased because one of my colleagues is like, really, orange? And she makes a big deal to say it all weird like that. And I said, well, how do you say it? And she says, I say orange. Orange. Okay. I don't know how you guys say it, but maybe it's not even a New York thing. Maybe it's just a Long Island thing. Or maybe it's just a Jen thing. And nobody else says orange. But ever since she said that, I've been like training myself to say orange. So now I kind of say it both ways. Sometimes it's orange, sometimes it's orange. Love the details. This would look so cool if you did some like heat embossing on these little details. I think that'd be really cute. Just using a little cloth to wipe that down. And then we've got the orange that has the dots, the stem, and the vein, just like we had for the little pear. You've got this little bit here. This was a pear. I could tell now seeing how it lines up with the stamp. So anybody who told me that's a pear down there, you are correct. We have another strawberry right here. We have some more lemon, so I'll stick that there. No more bananas, so I'll take the banana off and grab the flip plate once more to pick these up. Cynthia says it both ways, and she's from Jersey. And then I see Brick by Burke says, you beat me to it, depends on which part of New York. If it was New York City, on point. And then Jersey Gal, oh my gosh, okay, that we're the island, me, Jersey Gal, then New York City, then Long Island, and now Virginia. Oh my gosh, you've been around, huh? And I grew up in central Long Island. So that's another thing. I don't know if like more out west versus out east. Long Island has a lot of different vibes to it because you've got west is like New York City, right? We got some boroughs on the island, even though anybody from the boroughs will tell you that they're from New York City, and they would never say that they are from Long Island, even though they're physically on Long Island. But, you know, that's fine. They've got city pride. They're allowed to. The boroughs are New York City. And then you have Eastern Long Island, which is very ritzy. So if you've heard of the Hamptons, that's all on the eastern end of Long Island. So we've got celebrities with their summer homes and all that stuff. And then you have people in the middle island. And that's where I grew up, is in the middle of Long Island. And it was kind of cool because I was very close to Manhattan. So I went to New York City a lot. We went to school trips to see Broadway shows. That was all really amazing. And then I can also go out east to check out the farms or, you know, go to the beach, do different things like that. So there were a lot of things to do on Long Island. And yeah, me and my family, we say orange. Let's bring it back to where we started, orange. Yeah. Just rubbing some of this off. I do want to do a little bit more stamping just to get that orange in the corner. Oh my gosh, Hotbog, Port Jefferson, and Rocky Point. Okay, so I grew up in Lake Ronkonkoma. A lot of people have heard of Lake Ronkonkoma because it's the end of the line on the Long Island Railroad. There are different branches of the railroad, and the line that I was on is the Ronkonkoma line. So, you know, you could fall asleep on the train on your way home from the city, and then they go, Ronkonkoma, last stop, and then they wake you up, and then you get off. You guys are learning so much. See, but now I'm a New Englander. Now living in Massachusetts. It's crazy. And I've been here for a long time. So I moved here in college, and I started college in 2001. And I've been here ever since. So it's been a long time. She knows where I grew up. That's great. Okay, let's put these back on. I love this little background, by the way. I'm thinking we've got to, you know, just put a little greeting on here. It's really tough. I'm trying to think of how I can add more without covering up what I've done so far. So I feel like this is maybe one of the challenges of having a tiny but mighty project, is because if this was a full-size panel, I wouldn't be worried about covering the fruit because there'd be fruit everywhere that I wouldn't necessarily need to avoid. But now with this tiny little bit of cardstock, I don't want to cover up all my cute fruit. I love the sentiments here, by the way, for my very best friend. Thanks for being so sweet. And our friendship is the zest. Let's do, I can also use vellum. Maybe I could use some vellum so that I'm not really covering the fruit. And again, I'm looking at my time and I'm just wondering why I cut 4 3x3 panels thinking I was going to make a set of 4 cards. I'm sure you guys know me. You're like, Jen, you're never going to be able to do that. Come on. You chat too much. You craft too slowly. I know I do. All right, let me pull out some vellum. I haven't used vellum in a while, so I hope I know where it is. Hey, excellent. Some translucent vellum right here. Now I'm going to use my obsidian pigment ink, but this is not going to dry very quickly at all. The vellum is not porous, so it doesn't absorb the ink like the cardstock does. And that being said, the pigment ink on the cardstock also takes some time to dry, but it is going to take an eternity to dry on the vellum. That gives us with a couple of options. Option number 1, just let it dry. Give it time. It'll eventually dry, I promise. Option 2 is heat set it. But vellum can be kind of finicky, that it's so thin, it warps very easily. And then option number 3 gives us the same issue. We can pour on some embossing powder, like some clear embossing powder, so we still have the super crisp, beautiful greeting from the pigment ink, but you also can see that black darkness through the translucent embossing powder. But we're still going to risk having our vellum kind of crinkle and buckle. So I'm going to go with option 1 because I'm going to show my finished project with you guys next time anyway. That's the plan. So I'm going to stamp the greeting on the vellum, and then we're going to set all of this aside, and I'm going to work on another one. And then between now and next week, I will finish this. I'll let my sentiment dry, and then I'll show you both cards. We've got a little more than 15 minutes right now, so I think I could at least get started on another one, and then you'll get to see both of my mini cards next week. So let's do thanks for being so sweet. And you'll see now if I put the vellum on top, how it's just going to allow my fruit to shine through. And I'll put this on a little strip. So I'll cut the strip later. And then, you know, later when I'm finishing this, I could kind of decide, move around where this should be. I'm assuming I'll probably end up putting it towards the top, but I don't know. It could go anywhere, but I'll just do the stamping now. And I will bring out my trusty block, since that's how I do sentiments all the time. And well, maybe not all, 99% of the time, I use an acrylic block for my greeting. Do you guys call them greetings or sentiments? I feel like I always called them sentiments, and then I heard some people say greeting, and I just felt like that sounded so classy. Like, oh, yeah, my greeting, my stamp greeting. So now I say both, but if I want to be formal, I say greeting. Okay, I'm just getting this lined up on my block as best as I can, because I do want this straight. And I'm going to line up on right here on my stamping and alignment mat, or my cutting and alignment mat. I'm thinking right now, it's hard anytime I'm filming because my camera is right there where I really want to stick my head, so I can make sure that I'm getting this straight. If it's not straight, I can always fix it while I'm cutting it later, but I'll try right now to get it as straight as possible. That looks pretty good. All right, so I'm going to do it like that, leaving extra space on all sides so I have some options when it's time for me to put this on my card. Using vellum, I'm reading a comment, by the way. Using vellum with ink or alcohol markers, Use the backside. It will dry faster with a low heat gun. Yeah, definitely also like heat before you bring it to whatever it is. This is really mostly for when you're using embossing powder, because taking a cool heat gun and starting to heat it up, you're going to have to wait a little bit longer before you get to that full heat setting that's going to melt that embossing powder. And that whole process is going to make it so your cardstock is more susceptible to warping. So heat up the gun beforehand and then bring it over to your project. I think this is straight. I hope. Okay, that looks good. All right, so we're going to let this dry because it will absolutely smudge if I touch it. Now, 5 minutes from now, it will still be wet. That vellum is just so slick. It really does not soak up any of the ink. So I've got to be careful where this goes. But we can see, imagine how cute this is going to be. Oh, I love it. Well, I'm not sure. Maybe I will put the greeting at the bottom. We'll see. Okay. So let's set this aside and let's do another one. I do have my other 3x3s somewhere on my desk here. I don't know where they went. I'm always losing things. Here they are. Okay, so for this one, I actually think I'm going to do some die cutting. So I will stencil like 2 fruits here and then die cut them out. So I can actually do this on a bigger piece if I would like. All right, bringing back my stamp wheel just so I can use the sticky mat. I'm not even taking it out of the stamp wheel right now. I'm just going to leave it. It's fine. All right. There's no worries. And let's pick some fruit. Speaking of picking fruit, I've got to go apple picking. I have not done that yet this season, but I really love Macintosh apples. They are my favorite. And I think they're more of an early season apple. Like if I wait too long, they will be all gone, like picked over or overripe or whatever. I don't know how the farmers figure that all out, but I think I need to go apple picking soon. Note to self. Okay, let's look at what we want to do. I think I want to do an orange, strawberry, and a pear. We'll do an orange, strawberry, and a pear. Okay, so I'm bringing back my little pieces of tape from before just so I can mask them off. I don't feel like pulling out new greens, but I'll just use the same matcha from before. I'll use all the same colors from before just to save some time. So there is the matcha tea. And then I will add some swamp green, warm it up. And just like before, I'm going to leave it a little bit less blended to make the look of the pear's bumpy texture. Actually, a lot of these fruit have bumpy textures. Strawberry does. Maybe not the banana. The banana is pretty smooth. Okay, so you can see the little bumpiness there. I'll do the same bumpies with the other ones too. This will be my textured fruit. What did I say? I wanted to do the strawberry and the orange, right? Okay. Going back with my orange cream. Oh, I did the wrong orange. That's fine. No, it's not fine. It's too close to the edge, and that little 1 millimeter border around the edge, that's not going to allow me to cut that out. Okay, so I'm coming over here. This is the orange we'll do. And then I'm thinking for the strawberry too. I don't think I could do this strawberry. I think it's too close. So I'll just move it over, shift it over, and do a different strawberry. Just because of leaving that little gap so that I can do my die cutting. And Autumn Blaze. And leaving texture. Oh, I could even just like pounce. That looks very orangey. Okay. It looks almost like one solid color on screen, but it has light and dark with like little pounced areas. Now we go on to our strawberry. And I'm just going to move it over a little bit. I should probably wipe that down first. I'll just do this. Okay. So we'll do this strawberry, leaving some space, covering up my fruit that I don't want to ink on. I'm also looking at the time. I don't want to go over time, but I do want to do as much of this right now as I can. So we'll start with the Coral Bliss. And then I'll add my texture with Heartbeat. Okay, Marcy, thank you for sharing. All right, here's the Heartbeat. I agree, Angel. I also love the strawberries. Okay, pounce, 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 pounce. Adding some texture there. Now don't forget about stencil number 2. That's going to allow me to add those leaves that we have. And then we'll do our little stamping, die cutting, and then it's probably done. And I'll have to share that completed card with you next week as well. So we know that this one is not aligned with the others. So that's fine. I'll just do these 2 first. Oops. Just like that. And let's do the matcha tea this time, the slightly lighter and the slightly cooler toned. And then we'll shift over and get the strawberry done. I still can't believe that I'm not finishing 4 cards like I thought I would. Just too ambitious. I'd rather do 1.5 cards that I really love than rush too much and not be happy with what I'm doing. The real question is, what am I going to do with these little cute cards when I'm finished with them? I'm not quite sure yet. Okay, since we're just doing a couple of stamping, I'm just going to use the block again instead of using the stamp wheel. It's just easier right now for me to do that quickly. Otherwise, I'd have to trim down this panel because it is hanging over the edge. Remember, I just grabbed a scrap piece of paper. So I just wanted to see where that lined up. Once again, I can't really see exactly where I am because the camera is right where my head should go. Is that pretty good? Okay, that's pretty good. Remember, these are like artistic looking fruit. Sketchy does not need to be exact where it is. So we have the pear. Let's do the little strawberry. Adorable. And then the orange. Thank you for sharing, Jennifer. I appreciate it. I really do hope you guys play along with this. So as I am stamping the details for the orange, I want to remind you that you have until next week to play. So I will be going live again next Tuesday at 4 o'clock Eastern time. So if you want to play along, please join in and use the hashtag Altenew Challenge Live. and that's going to make it so that we can find your projects. There we go. So that we can find your projects and you will be considered and in the running for the prize of the $15 gift certificate to the Altenew store. I love this product suggestion I'm seeing in the comments. A mini stamp wheel, great when you're stamping a little sentiment or other small item. That is a great idea. I will definitely talk to the team about it. It is something we've brought up before, and something that we weren't sure if customers would be looking for. So anytime you guys give us feedback or ideas like that, even if it's something we've considered, maybe we haven't done it because we didn't think there'd be interest in it. So that lets us know that there are people who want that product. So thank you for letting me know. 4:56. All right. I don't think I really have time to do my die cutting, but we are on our way to having a second project completed. So let me just show you what it is that I've done. I always like to do a recap, and then I will be continuing to work on these, and I'll show you the final projects next week. Okay. So in conclusion, I feel like I'm writing an essay or something. In conclusion, we have this super cute panel. It's 3x3 Post-it note size because that is the challenge today, the Tiny But Mighty challenge. And you need to do a 3x3 or smaller project. It does not have to be on paper. It could be a little canvas. It could be a little tag. It could be an ATC, as long as you cut off that extra ½ inch. We discussed that earlier. So you want to stay within the 3x3, or you can be smaller, of course. And it can be any project you want. You don't have to use Altenew supplies, but I do love it when you do. And you will share it with #AltenewChallengeLive so that we can find your project. And I am so excited to finish this. So I have my little greeting here on the vellum. It is still wet. I can tell because it is shiny. Okay, it's not picking up on camera, but it's still shiny. So I might blast that carefully with a heat gun, see how it goes, or I could just leave it till it's finally dry. I also have some extra fruit that I stamped out and ink blended that I will be die cutting because I have the add-on die set. If you didn't have the add-on die set, you definitely could just do some fussy cutting, but it's really great having the die set, not only for the fruit because, you know, that saves the time of having to fussy cut, but also having the ones for the sentiments, AKA greetings, as we discussed, the formal way of saying it, the greeting. So we have that, and I'm going to cut these out and figure out how to finish a second little mini 3x3 card. So here's what we worked on today. You do have about maybe 30 seconds to share while I'm still live, but I will pop the screen or pop up to me so I can see you before I leave. So this was really fun. I really do hope that you choose to play along because I had to work hard with this new canvas size. You don't realize how small 3x3 is until you cut that first piece of cardstock and you think, oh, I picked the wrong size for this challenge. No, but it really is fun. I really love how these are coming out. And like I said, perfect for lunch boxes, perfect for little backpack notes, perfect to make a little note card set. Or if a friend is having a hard day, just, you know, sneak it in their purse or in their bag or something. I don't know. There's a lot of things that you can do with these itty bitty projects. And if you make an itty bitty art piece, you could put it on a teeny tiny easel. I'm just trying to kill time, you guys, so you have a chance to share while we're still live. But yes, so many things. Oh, CMR is so cute. You put all those little fruits in your comment. All the different fruit. That's so cute. Okay, so that'll be it for me today. And I hope you all have a wonderfully crafty, amazing day. Bye-bye.